Hello and welcome. So this is I Do What I Want, the podcast. I am your host, Hollis, and it is my birthday! Yay! That's why I have my shiny lights going on in the back. For those of you watching the video, it is extra colorful today. I hope you appreciate it. And since it's my birthday, we're going to talk about what I've done this past year and what I'm going to do this coming year. So it's I'm calling my birthdays chapters now. So I'm not 41. I'm on chapter 41 of my life because I'm very nerdy and that brings me joy. So yeah, I'm calling my age a chapter now. Or a level, depending on my mood. Probably going to stick with a chapter. So yes, for those of you who might have been curious, I was 40. I just turned 41, turned the page to chapter 41. And let's just talk about what I've done. I'm really excited about what I've accomplished when I turned 40 and where I'm going with my writing career. And I want to share it with all of you. I hope you'll tolerate that from me today. So, yeah. Looking back on this past year, when I turned 40, I would like to say that one of the things I did starting early last year was I decided to become very serious about the way that I was managing my writing career, or what will become my writing career as an author. And before, honestly, I was being a bit more lackadaisical about how I would write the books and so on and so forth. But the fact of the matter is that I truly want to be an author who doesn't have to have a day job, who doesn't have to work for a living, and I can write books for a living. And that will be my career, is to be an author. And while I love the people I work with, and maybe I wouldn't even leave the job, honestly, because I really do love my day job, but I would love not to need that day job. So when I turned 40, last year, I said I'm going to make very conscientious steps to become the person who does these things, who is the author that I want to be. I made a conscious decision to not only write the Rashan series, and of course last year I was already typing up and in the process of editing The Queen Witch, which is out, the second book in the Rashan series, the follow-up to Save a World, and that was published back in April this year. And the second edition of To Save a World is coming in just a few days. I wanted to have it in May, but because of file technical saving issues, I had it ready in May, but technology said no. So it'll be out in a few days. So you can make the covers match and everything. But that is becoming a series. I made a conscious decision to say it's going to be a series. And I also have another book out, Spare the Swallow, which is a historical fantasy, has nothing to do with the world of Rashan. As many of you know, if you've listened to the podcast, I repeat that a lot just because same author, two very different worlds. They're both fantasy, but one is historical fantasy, the other is classical fantasy, if you will. And I had written Spare the Swallow. That is something that I initially kind of thought, oh, that's a one-off. But I decided, you know what? I leave it open for, honestly, infinite stories with the main character of Lucretia in Spare the Swallow. So I said, why am I doing that? That Spare the Swallow is the origin story of Lucretia, and you find out why she becomes the being that she becomes. But now I am calling it the Chronicles of the Lost Beacon series. And I'm almost done with, the first draft of that book called Ignited, is the first book in the Chronicles of the Lost Beacon, and I'm really excited about it. The Chronicles of the Lost Beacon is definitely going to be less of a feel-good thing. And I actually, the character Lucretia, I'm not going to tell you any spoilers, but in her origin story, she literally loses everything anyone could possibly lose. Even control over her own life. Literally loses everything. I cannot emphasize that enough. You think you can lose everything, well, she gets even more taken away from her. Even her own right to dictate how she lives or dies. She doesn't even have the ability to control that. She literally has everything taken away. And so, of course, this throws her into a huge grieving process. If you lose everything in your life, you are going to go through grief. Just massive, massive amounts of grief. I can't even express to you in words how terrible things are for her. I'm mean. A lot of authors are mean. To our characters, sorry characters. Isn't it nice that you're fictional? Because if you were real, that just wouldn't happen. I mean, oh my God, no, I don't want to. No, poor Lucretia. But she goes through the stages of grief. So, and of course, there are only 5 stages of grief as we know them, but I'm going to write, and there'll be more than 5 books in the Chronicles of the Lost Beacon, but they will be written as she is moving through the stages of grief. And Ignited, as you might tell from the title, is actually her journey from deep depression into anger. And what triggers that, what ignites her anger, and what the whole situation is. So I'm really excited about that. And then I've got, I think in my last podcast, I actually talked about what was upcoming in each of those series. So, and I go in a little more depth about it. But the Rashawn series is much more of a classical fantasy series. You have, kind of a group of companions that you're following, and things are happening in the world, and they're the heroes. they are the ones who are going forth and doing things. So they have to go. So if you listen to my last episode from 2 weeks ago, you will be able to have an exact map out of what I have planned all the way through 2026 for books I'm going to be publishing in those 2 series. But that's something else I accomplished. This past year, I went ahead and I sat down, got really serious, and I said, okay, let's plan it. We're going to do 2 book series, and here we go. We're going to be professional. I'm going to be professional about this, and I'm really excited. I also published, in the past year, I published 2 books. I think that's a pretty big deal. For me, it's a big deal. I published Spare the Swallow back in October of 2022, and I published The Queen Witch in April of this year, and I'm going, and then To Save a World I was supposed to technically have 3 books published, so I'm republishing the 2nd edition anyway. The To Save a World, it kind of, because I didn't have to rewrite it, but still the same story. It's a different edition, new cover, re-edited, catching all of the terrible comma splices and typos that were not properly edited the first time, but the story is the same. It's just much prettier now. And I'm almost done with the first draft of Ignited, and that will be coming out, I am aiming for late this year. My goal for 2023, as far as number of books published, is 2. So technically, with the republication of To Save a World, I've met my goal But I think what I would really like to do is get Ignited in there probably in November, possibly December, but in time for Christmas. So, get them a book about the stages of grief for the holidays. Yay! That should be fun. I've learned a lot moving forward from that, but I've learned a lot in the past year about indie publishing. A lot. If you've listened to past episode of my podcast, you know that I have talked about my personal journey in self-publishing, and I am far from perfect, and I always say not that many people listen. I'm very grateful for those of you who do, but if you know anything about indie publishing that I'm not saying, message me, comment, let me know, because I am still learning. I am by no means an expert, but I am sharing what I have learned along the way with hopes that somebody who is still muddling through and doesn't know what I already, then I can help. Hopefully I can help them learn things or understand things a little faster than I did, so they can skip a few steps and not get caught up in some of the crap that I got. I mean, I actually did pretty well for myself, but just learning how to not deal with some of those pitfalls is super fun. So I've done that. I'm also doing workshops. That's another thing. One of the things that I love to do is I love to help. My friends and family know that about me. They know that I am a helper. I want people to do well, and I just want to be there. I just want to make others feel good, and it makes me glad and brings me a lot of joy to bring aid and joy to others. So I'm leading writers' workshops, and again, I'm no expert, but people do seem to ask for my advice, and I'm very happy to give it. Whatever I can give, if I am helping to spark inspiration in someone, then yeah, I want to do it. So, or even if the questions I ask in these workshops trigger something in your brain that you go, oh my God, yes, I just needed someone outside of myself to ask that direct question. Because I find that sometimes with my own character creation process or just writing in general, just whatever the process is, that sometimes you get so stuck in your own internal loop that you really do need someone outside of you to just ask a simple question to break the writing block cycle or whatever it is that might be holding you back. It's a fresh perspective, and it's still fresh ideas coming from you, but you needed somebody else to trigger that, oh, that's right, I don't have to take it from this angle, I can take it from that angle. Sometimes that's what you need, and so that's what I try to construct the workshops that I'm doing around. I'm doing the workshops through the Carnegie Writers, which I became a board member this past year of Carnegie Writers. They're they're a wonderful writing group here in the Southeast. I think, oh my goodness, and I should know this, I'm a board member. Haha, I'm on the publications committee. I believe we have 5 chapters. Those of you who listen who are on the Carnegie Writers, or you can just go to the Carnegie Writers website and you'll know the exact number of chapters. That's something good, but I've been a member since 2018. I've loved it. They're wonderful. And when I was presented with the opportunity to not only lead these workshops through Carnegie Writers, which the next one should be coming up June 25th is the plan, and it will be on world building. And world building doesn't necessarily have to be a fantasy world. Obviously, I'm a fantasy writer. I will be talking about that. But world building can be quite factual as well, even if you're a historic writer. If you're writing factual information, in a way you still have to build the world that whenever your characters were, wherever they were, even if it was on this planet Earth, if it is World War II Germany, you still need to build the world, construct what was going on for those characters. What was the weather like? What what was day to day, what kind of technology did they have? You still have to build a world, languages spoken, all of that. And when it's fantasy, you get to make all that stuff up. But when you're writing something factual, or, a biography or something, or an autobiography, the creating the environment that those people, or that you yourself, it's an autobiography, were in, you actually do need to think about that environment and at least have a few notes put down, because that affects how you behave. Everyone knows the world that you're in, the environment, whether it's a little microculture or whatever, but where and how you are living greatly affects your behavior and how you live your life. So, yeah, world building isn't just for those of us who love fiction. it's also very much for people who are writing things of a factual nature, because you still need to wrap your brain around how the world works and what world are they living in. Planet Earth, sure, but then where does their story take place on this planet, where all of it. So yeah, I'm getting off on tangents. So I'm doing the workshops, quarterly workshops. June 25th is the next one. I need to get on advertising for that, and creating all the marketing, but I'm going to do that. The other thing is I've been doing more design of book covers and page layouts. I'm really excited. So the Queen Witch and the second edition of To Save a World, I did all the design for that. The cover, the interior, the exterior, all of it. It's 100% my intellectual property. And I'm really proud. Really, really proud of that. And of course, it, doesn't save me time, but it saves me a lot of money. And I love that my, little book babies are fully mine in that sense. And I am, going to continue forward with that. And I'll Spare the Swallow. The page layout and book cover was done by my friend Dio Jensen, who is a fantastic designer. She really did exactly what I needed, and I will say that as a designer myself, I think it's important to know when you are the right artist, even for your own work. And for Spare the Swallow, I did not feel I was actually the correct designer for that work. And I'm really, really glad that Dio worked with me to create such a beautiful thing. She created exactly what I wanted. And it was more than what I would have put forth for it. So yeah, as a designer, even though I plan to continue doing my own book covers and page layouts for, indefinitely, every now and again, yeah, when I don't feel I'm the right person for that, of course I'm going to reach out to someone else. And that's very important. The other thing, so I'm doing that, and then I'm also designing book covers for my friend Sarah Aaron, who wrote Behind Her City Eyes, a beautiful poetry book, about a book of poems about the first woman she ever loved. And yeah, it's a first love kind of book, and it's very emotional, it's very deep. I loved designing that cover, and I love Sarah. She's like the best human. I just love her. She knows that. And Sarah, if you're listening, hi. I love you. But she also started a new press called 21 Chieftains Press, and it's a publisher. So and then now I am on board. She took me on as an author. So I have a publisher now. And I have a publisher who happens to be one of my best friends, so score. But I do, I told her that, even though I'm not a book designer by trade, I said, hey, for your writers, if they like me, I would be happy to give discounted rates to people who want me to design their covers for 21 Chieftains Press. And I am thrilled, absolutely thrilled to have such a wonderful publisher who is focused on indie authors and focused on bringing books to the readers, and honestly not focused on profits so much. It's, of course, that is the plan right now. It's all very up in the, she's just getting started, or we're just getting started, but I'm crazy proud to be a part of 21 Chieftains and plan to be indefinitely. So that logo will be on all of my books from here on out, and as long as she'll have me. And I encourage you to check out the website and the other authors for 21 Chieftains. I will put their website in the in the comments below, as Dio Jensen's website as well. And of course my website is always, it's in my channel and so on and so forth. So, you want to see my website, it's there, which I need to update that, which is another thing that I'm going to be moving forward with. But let's still talk about the past year. Yeah, so I think that's the past year. I have published 2 books. I have written more books. I've planned a series for the next 3 years. Designing new book covers. I have a publisher. I learned a lot about indie publishing and gotten a lot more well-versed at it. And yeah, and I'm a board member of a writers group. A pretty widespread, successful writers group, which, by the way, I also am designing a book cover. I designed a book cover for the publications of the Carnegie Writers. They have a publication where we highlight the work of members of our group from all chapters. I think, there's over a dozen writers from Carnegie Writers who contributed to the book called Creative Inspiration. And I'll put the Carnegie Writers website down and the things in the dialogue, whatever the things, the comments box, whatever it is, description. My brain. So the description box as well, so that you can actually see how to get this book. I think it's an ebook. I don't know if you can print it, but I designed the cover for that as well. As per the request of the founder of Carnegie Writers and the other person on the publications committee. And I'm really excited and happy, and I get my name out there more, which makes me glad. And so this 40 was a great year. Frankly, I love being 40, and I love telling people that I'm 40 because most people don't believe me, and it might be a maturity level thing. I like to think that it's because I look younger than I am. Maturity level kind of works too, though. Young at heart. I am a Gemini, so, if you like astrology and zodiac, Gemini is the child sign of the zodiac, so we kind of are forever young anyway, at least mentally. Where I'm going in from June 4th, 2023 to June 4th, 2024. So the next full year, where am I going? Well, I'll obviously be publishing one more book in late 2023, as we talked about. That will be Ignited. And I'm going to keep working with 21 Chieftains, doing more projects with them, and hopefully designing more covers with them and Carnegie Writers. Moving forward with the workshops, making them quarterly. And also, if you want any content with workshops or have any suggestions for me, even if you aren't going to attend, if you're just like, hey, I think this is a great idea, again, please message me, comment. I love ideas. So sometimes I need help. And I am not ashamed or upset at all to ask for it. So, which is also a valuable thing to do. And I'm presenting. So this coming November, the Carnegie Writers, and again, on the website, you'll see all the dates and blah, blah, blah. But this coming November, there is the Carnegie Writers 10th anniversary as a writers group. And there is a conference, which is so exciting, and I'm actually going to be presenting at the Carnegie Writers 10th Anniversary Conference this year in November. I'm really thrilled. It will be, it will be online and in person. I think it's going to be in Alpharetta, Georgia, actually. The Carnegie Writers is in the Southeast. The founder is in Nashville, Tennessee, I believe. But I do believe the conference is happening in Georgia, in Alpharetta, Georgia this year, which is great because I live in Georgia. It's a little easier for me. But I'll be presenting on actually book cover design. I'll be talking about the process of designing. I'm not going to teach people how to design, like that's a whole other situation. That's like a semesters and degrees and things, but I will be mostly talking about how to work with a designer and communicate well, and if you are designing your own covers, just things that you want to consider, because as somebody who has been on both sides of it, my degree is not in design. My degree is in world history, a specialization in ancient cultures and the ancient Etruscans. But I've been doing design work and just learning here and there. Especially, I have a lot of friends who are actually graphic designers, and they've taught me a lot. I was a project manager for graphic design and marketing agencies. So I learned a lot. And I've always been creative, artistic myself, and have had a perspective. So, yeah, do I know everything? Oh, God, no, absolutely not. But do I know how to find the right things? And do I know enough to a nice design, or where to look for help? Yeah, I definitely do. I definitely know how to find my answers. I definitely know, how to help and how to facilitate the relationship. So I'm going to be talking about basically as an author working with the designer, what kind of things you want to communicate to them so that they can get the right feeling for, just the right thing to get your book all set up. I have as a designer, when I design for other people, I actually have a list of questions that I will send, and just, and they're not like, what colors do you like, or things like that. They are more kind of abstract questions, but it helps a designer who is a creative person, so don't worry, their brains will process it, get an emotional feeling for your work, as opposed to the other way around. But anyway, I'm obviously excited to do this thing, and I'll be contributing an entry into the Carnegie Writers guide as about just how to work with a designer, and how to hopefully get the best book cover design out of yourself, including just, keeping track of trends in the book cover world, because what we all want is, on the bookshelves in the stores themselves, you want your book to be the one that they turn that cover forward, and that it's not just another one where you only see the spine. You want them to love your cover so much that they turn it forward. So it's got to be very, very beautiful, but it also kind of has to be on trend. So obviously I'll talk about whatever current trends are happening now, but you also have to pay attention to where things are going, which is another reason why To Save a World, I'm doing a second edition, because when I designed that cover 6 years ago, when I designed that cover 6 years ago, it was on trend. But guess what? That cover 6 years ago cover of To Save a World, which I'm still proud of, and I still think it's gorgeous, that is absolutely not on trend anymore. It is not what people are looking for when they're walking through the bookstores. It's not going to be an eye catcher like it was 6 years ago. And that's just something to be aware of. 6 years ago, To Save a World, the first edition, when I walked into Barnes & Noble that had ordered it, they had turned that book cover forward, because I paid attention to what it was at the time. But now, that first edition, they're not turning that book cover forward anymore. It's no longer on trend, but the new book cover is. So it's important, those things. I'm getting off track. Ongoing writing workshops. We already talked about that. I actually am going to be working with a virtual assistant. I found, and this is something else that I will probably talk about and touch on more in future podcast episodes, but I found there are a lot of assistants, virtual assistants out there that are actually extremely affordable. I am by no means rich. I have a very firm budget, but people will work for $6 an hour. I mean, and up. I'm actually paying my guy a little bit more than that. I'm really excited to work with him. And also I'm only asking for 3 to 5 hours maximum, but 3 to 5 hours a week. Probably 3 hours average. And I'm just going to have him help me with the things that I am not good at, which is driving traffic. Online traffic to my website, all of that, because I have found that with my personal things, all of the personal research, I won't go into like doing your own research and SEO and blah, blah, blah. But my major pain point is that I don't have enough exposure. I don't have enough people finding me online. How I'm advertising is actually pretty good. All of those things are actually pretty good. I don't really have issues with my content itself. Everything can be improved, but the content I put out itself is not bad. It's not my problem. My problem is that there's not enough traffic there aren't enough people seeing that content. And I don't have a ton of reviews on my books. The people who do read and review my books, they give me great reviews and I'm thrilled. But I don't have a lot of them because people don't know I exist. So that is something else that I'm going to be doing. And Thomas, the guy, very, very nice guy, he's going to be helping me virtually and just focusing on driving that traffic to my website, to my social media, honestly, mostly to my website. And I will be setting up a direct sales page on my website. In the past, I've just had the landing page that, says, hi, this is the me, and then a blog where I do my blog entries. But on that main page, I am going to have a direct purchase, which is something I've been missing, of course. So I just hadn't set it up. I just hadn't, and I knew it was good and la. But, I'm tired and I have a lot going on and I just hadn't done it. But it's something that I need to do, and that's my pain. And if I can get more direct sales, oh my God, things are going to get a lot better. So there's that. And, checking my notes for those of you who see me looking down on the video. And last but not least, I am going to be pushing forward and making a concerted effort to attend a lot more writing and literary events, conventions, things like that, because again, that's part of my exposure issue. I just need to do it more. There's a great convention called Multiverse here that happens in the Atlanta area every October. I will be at Multiverse this year. I tried to get a vendor booth at Dragon Con this year. I will be at Dragon Con. That will be something I do, but I did not get selected for the vendor booth. Literally thousands of people apply for those. I wasn't fully expecting to get one, but I'm going to keep trying every year. But I will be at Dragon Con and I will have materials. I'm going to be working on getting better swag. Just things that people actually want, that have my book stuff on them and branding that you'll hopefully love and use and appreciate. I do have swag now. I have a Redbubble shop and I'm going to be revamping the Redbubble shop, but I'm going to, have the online stores. I'm going to have everything just moving forward, making myself more visible, making it easier to find me, and hopefully gaining more readers, because I truly believe that my books are great. I do. I mean, as a writer, I really like my own writing. I do. I know what happens. I wrote the thing, but I actually enjoy reading my own books. And I know that sounds a little self-preening, perhaps. I don't know, but I love reading other books too, of course. I love it, and I get so inspired by other writers and authors out there. But I think that as an author, you should like your own writing. I think that it's kind of like, musicians um who sing or whatever, like if they don't like their own music, if they wouldn't want to listen to their own song, then what good is it? But I like my own books. I like reading my own books. Sometimes I reread, like I'll go back and I'll read a chapter and I'm like, did I really write that? That's damn good. Hey, yay me. And you feel a little out of body experience. But I feel I have a wonderful product. I feel I have something to say, and I'm definitely not for everyone. No writer in this world is, and that's okay. Because that's why there are millions of writers and millions of readers, billions of readers out there. People who love all different things, and then I just want to make it so that the readers who love my kinds of books can find me. So that's going to be the focus for next year. When I get to turning the page to chapter 42 in 2024, I'm going to have the goal. I have the goal to just have hopefully doubled all of my sales and just have people know who I am and have more readers. Because, that's why I write these things, right? I want to share. I want to share my crazy imagination with the rest of the world, and I hope that you'll enjoy it. So, thank you so much. Thank you for celebrating with me. I kind of wish I had like a little birthday kazoo, like woo or whatever with the streamer. Just imagine that I did that. I was like beep beep with the birthday horns things. I don't have them. But that is it. Also, please like and subscribe to my channel. I always forget to say that. So please ring the bell so that you know when you have a new episode coming. Follow me so that you'll be notified when a new episode, all of that. And I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful night.